You're.
Yeah, this is absolutely out of my character, I will tell you. Like me putting myself out in the middle of something like this is not in my character. But the main reason I wanted to throw this together was I had noticed, or I'd heard stories and seen actually some people at our brokerage, like that I would call, and there's a big debate right now, like what the middle is. I think 10 million and above is like the middle, and a lot of people think that like 1 to 2 million is the middle, and I don't think so. So, I think that the middle is when you're starting to really like build a legit business, right? And meaning like you're starting to try to hire people, or thinking about hiring people, or building systems in your business to really get consistency. And everyone has a certain level of business that they want to build, right? Like I know Gary Keller had someone on stage that did like, I don't know, it was like 2 million, 3 million GCI. You might know, you've been here a while, where she runs an independent, it's just her and like 15 admin, and she does like 5 million GCI. It's crazy. Like that's not the kind of business I would want to run, right? Like she's involved in every transaction. But I think that level where you hit 10 million, or 20 units, 30 units, or sometimes even 40 units, you're right at the level where it's like you have to make a decision of, do I want to remain by myself, an individual agent with a TC, or maybe an admin, part-time admin, or do I want to take the next step? And the next step is the middle, and it's messy, and I'm in it right now, right? And I would say that, and Ryan might even say he's in the middle. And Ryan, his team did what, 180 million last year?
Yeah.
Okay, the middle, right? I mean, in Gary's group, we're like in the lower quadrant, so I guess it's dependent on who you stack yourself up to. But I wanted to get 10 million to, let's just call it $75 million producers in a room together to learn from, because there's things that I wish I could go back to without a team, that one-to-one customer service level that you have with your client, and the referral business that generates, right? Because you lose a piece of that referral business as you start to scale and grow your team, right? And so I think there's a lot that we can learn from each other. I just wanted to be the facilitator, not the teacher. But yet, here I spent an hour building a presentation because I knew we had to talk about something, right? But hopefully next month, we'll have more, we'll know each other better, and people will consistently come. So this can be more of an open dialogue, right? Someone can have a problem, we can solve that problem. This is not like I talk to you and talk at you, okay? That's not what I wanted out of this at all. Because number one, I'm probably not the best teacher for that. Number two, I wanted to learn from this, right? So when I was thinking about how to set this thing up, I was thinking like, okay, if I was at 10, 20 million, what are the things that we need to like focus on in order of importance, right? So maybe we just quickly, because we have a guy named Frank hopping on at 2:15, quickly, let's just, and wherever Lauren is, write these problems down, and maybe quickly we can share what things we want to focus on specifically around database and marketing. That way maybe we can get some framework for today's, like, let's call it hour, starting with you, not to put you on the spot.
Right. Yes, I would say around database and marketing, I'm really good at referrals. I'm not good at turning unmet people into business.
Okay. How to turn unmet, how to get unmets.
There you go.
And then turn them into mets. Elizabeth.
I'm not, I'm looking at your list of create the rules of your database, and hey, Ryan, how's it going? So create the rules of your database. And I don't even know if I have the rules for my database. I've got everybody in a database, and I've got them on a plan to
That's why it's there.
Communicate with them, but I'm not sure that I've really like I still feel like I can't move forward until I get that 100% right. So it's getting out of my own way to step forward instead of having to have it perfect and functioning at a high level before I move forward. Because I'm afraid of having the fall down in customer service and communication. So that stops me from getting out of the business and working on the business.
Got it. Execution over perfection often is like the answer,
Yes.
right? And you know, and I don't know everything, right? But what I've seen from successful people is they just go execute and then perfect as they go. That creates a mess and problems. Don't be so afraid of customer service challenge. Once you got the customer, it's pretty hard to lose the customer, right? You're losing more business on the front end by worrying about that, I would say, right? Now, I know you have a high level, high touch business and you want to protect that. I would say protect it, but you could do it. I think you can do both. And we're not going to go to everybody because we'll lose time. What about you?
Me?
Yep.
Getting myself back on the phone again. Seriously.
Write that down. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of going through that right now. Your phone is not ringing as much, right? Even if you're doing lead gen and advertising, your phone is not ringing like you used to. Peter, what about you?
So lately I've been doing door knocking. I have Boomtown, which is great because it gives you a whole drip system, which is awesome. I think really mine is, I follow Ricky Cruz and I like his weekly emails that he sends out every Wednesday. So really my difficulty is just that weekly email. What can I do to make it capturing? There's links, things to do, events, but I want to perfect it so it looks amazing. That way I get more opens in it, I guess you could say.
Like, how do you
design the weekly email to make it so enticing to people that they're gonna open it every week?
Got it. Okay. Yeah. How do you create content that people want to open?
Right.
Yeah.
So
that actually fits in, I think, really well with what we're going to talk about today, from my little perspective, right? What I think, you know, the consumer wants to see from a real estate agent. And Frank just hopped on, and that guy's the freaking master of. I was trying to change the camera because I don't want to be the only one on this camera. So, do you know how to? You used to work here. Doesn't that thing spin around automatically? It never works.
It's when you have to raise your hand,
I mean,
and it'll blink at you. You have to hold it.
Shouldn't it follow like who talks? That's
No.
why I did it.
You have to lock it into the person.
It won't go to you guys.
No.
I thought you could switch to that camera over there. That's why I wanted to do it here. Anyways, the next mastermind will have a way better conference camera. I'm gonna get that owl camera. I think that'll work better. What about you?
My focus is really systematizing my customer service, that a lot of the stuff, that way I can take some of that off of me so I can focus on lead generation more so with that. So getting my admin focusing on nurturing the ones that are in escrow or that kind of stuff so that I can focus on getting.
Okay, so to simplify that a little bit, like, what can I take off my plate and give to someone else so that I can grow the business? Nick, what about you?
Well, I really want to making my calls and having, I was doing really well for the first few weeks making my calls, and I feel like this is the first week where that changed because I've been doing like following up from HomeBot, people have been checking with the HomeBot, and now I'm doing the buyer side and no one knows what I'm talking about. Most people aren't opening those emails, they open the sell side, they don't open the buy side, and that little roadblock, I'm not as disciplined in making my calls. And so it kind of discouraged me. And I was like, I got to start from scratch. And I know that's not the answer. So like finding reasons to, once again, to call the people that I have this much of a connection or no connection with.
Yeah.
Most of them are like Facebook friends that I got their info from a cyberbacker. And I'm like, it's going to be weird if I call them. They're like, why are you calling me? You're a high school friend. Like, that's so weird. And I get in my head about that. And so I don't call as of this week. Last few weeks, it did good.
How do you find reasons to call?
Yes.
Yeah.
And verify against the
what
do
about
not
your
call
problems?
list.
Because yes, you.
Yeah.
Because I know you run multiple teams, and so what problems would you say that you're finding currently? maybe not problems is not the right word, but.
I think what we've been focusing a lot is on execution, because you're having the hardest time of, you need to come with a certain amount, and you'd say, I need 50 contacts a week, and they would come with 12, and they'd be okay with it, and then I'd be okay with it, and my standards fell. So at the end of last quarter, we kept standards high, and that caused attrition, but then this month is the best month we've had maybe in 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
Only because the standards were high. So I think the main focus we've been focusing is just execution. How am I teaching execution? Because you can get people leads, but if they don't convert them, it's just like drinking from a fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the main thing. So I think my biggest thing I'm working on right now is perfecting the action plan so that the database can flow systematically, and then helping to make sure that they clear their dashboard.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a good, we are going through the same, have gone through the same challenges over the last year. And like maybe to simplify that down for everyone else, I would say just like what he's saying is getting clear on what are our standards, especially when you start hiring. And then as like the person who's responsible for that person kind of bending to the standard. And I think that I'm guilty of that 100% a bunch, right? Like, oh, it's okay this week, or oh, it's okay. Or over the last 2 years, you're just moving so fast it didn't freaking matter, right? You're just moving so fast it actually was going to take way more energy and time to like address an issue versus just let's just keep going, right? So standards versus like, are they really standards or are they suggestions, right? Like Ben Kinney says, are they, standards without consequences are merely suggestions.
Yeah, because we were making so much money last year that I didn't really think about hiring, not just hiring everybody. And suddenly you're realizing, when the business goes down, now you're spending a lot of money for something that's not adhering to standards. So it's like, wait, I think Sherry Walker said, I'm not a charity. I'm not a charity. I'm here to run a business.
Everything has a cost. Yeah, especially if you're running a team, like, and you're providing like stuff for that team. Everything has a cost, so you have to get very clear on like what is the standard, right? Okay, John, what about you? You run an independent brokerage, huh?
All by myself.
Yeah.
I have a TC, but you just get lost in the shuffle and then things get dropped. So I have to build my own email campaign every week. Everything's on me, right? So I don't have an assistant. I had an assistant. I did.
Is that your dad?
No. No, my dad is getting residuals, right? They just weren't, they're a liability, like sure, are they creating wealth or creating money and value in the system, or are they a drag on it actually? So keeping on track of doing the every day-to-day stuff and then still doing the transactions and still doing client follow-up, and a lot of other stuff just gets, the easy stuff gets put to the side.
Yeah.
Did I send my database email out this week? Did I do this? Yeah. Did I post on Facebook? Did I post here, right? Yeah. I can go to the wayside real quick.
They don't train you that, like, when you get your license, right? Like, and I think this is meant to be broker agnostic, right? But I think if anything, what drew me to KW and has kept me here is Gary showed me that it was really like you could create a real business out of what really is like a sole practitioner kind of style of business model, right? And there's models and there's systems and ways to leverage yourself to get help. And now for a fairly low cost too, like virtual assistants and things like that. But I think as entrepreneurs and as heavy hitter salespeople, which everyone in this room at 10 million is, you've proven you can go hustle. You can hustle real estate, you can make a lot of money. The next evolution of your career is can you then go slow down enough to go create systems that are going to allow you to 10x your income. Whether you want a big team or not, you can go from 10 million to 50 million without having a big team. It's just a few key simple steps and good systems, and the entrepreneur in us never slows down enough because it's super boring and it sucks, right? Just like creating a Canva thing like this. But I know that if you slow down to speed up, I've learned over my career so far, a few times, if you just kind of slow down, get it right, and then especially with hiring, right? hiring is one of those things that can really slow you down if you get the wrong one. And I've gotten lots of wrong ones. I still haven't perfected that. That's what I'd want to get help from someone, hopefully in this mastermind over this year, is like get better and better at the hiring process so that you slow down and you don't hire at a need, and you have that good balance of hiring ahead of when you need it, but not so early it's kind of a luxury, right? Like you're just hiring to hire. Does that make sense? So you want help. How do you build systems or processes to systematize all the things you got to do?
That
right?
I don't want it.
Yeah, leverage through technology and or people.
I don't like posting on, it's not me, right? I don't like posting on Facebook. I don't like posting on Instagram. I hate it.
Then I'd say don't do what you don't like.
To be right,
There's
but there's a need for it, right? Marketing.
I would argue that there's not always a need, and that's a good segue into having Frank on the call. Frank, I'm gonna pin you up. Hopefully that works.
Works great. I'm here. Hi, everybody.
On the screen?
Yeah, how do I do that?
Stop sharing here.
There we go. Cool. Hey, Frank.
What's up? Good to see you, Steve. Good job.
You can't see everybody, but behind me, there's quite a few people here.
You can pin him now that you're out of share screen
Oh,
if you'd like.
Okay, go for it. Frank owns Viral Marketing. I've been a customer of theirs. This is not a pitch to try to grow his database either. But Frank, if I can just quickly, Frank, I think Frank is one of the very best, talk about systems, like Frank and his wife built, and correct me if I'm wrong, over the last 3 years, they started to buy homes in Omaha, Nebraska, where his company actually is, Viral. Well, Frank lived in San Diego for 15 years and ran Viral from San Diego. So that can kind of tell you, I don't know the revenue you do, Frank, it's probably a decent clip, but he ran Viral totally from San Diego with managers in place. And how many employees at Viral? Like 50 or 75 or
60.
60. And then he just left San Diego because California sucks and it's so expensive. And he moved to Tennessee. And so he still runs Viral from Tennessee and also bought 200 homes in Omaha, Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky, all virtually.
Yeah.
All hiring acquisition managers on Zoom, right?
Sounds pretty incredible you say it that way, yeah.
Tell them the story. Tell them just real quick how you hired your nanny in Tennessee before you went there, because this will kind of tell you how you should look at your business, everything that you do. Tell it real quick.
My wife, Katie, wanted to get into real estate. We had 2 very young children. I said, Katie, I'll scrape and save to find the $2,000 a month it's going to cost to hire a nanny, so you don't have 2 jobs if you're going to do this. She's like, Frank, I don't think you're going to find anyone that will be a full-time nanny for $12 an hour for the $2,000 a month. Like, test me. So I went on betterteam.com and I ran an ad for a live-in nanny across the entire United States. $12 an hour plus room, because we had an extra room for them to live in, plus food, plus car. And he lived 4 blocks from the beach where we lived in San Diego. Had thousands of people apply. Followed up with them all, and drove them all to a webinar. But about 100 nannies show up on a webinar like this. Introduced them to me.
How many hours so far have you invested in this?
He did a funnel.
I mean, I don't know, an
20
hour?
minutes.
I mean, yeah, you write a nanny ad, you put it up, you watch the applicants come in, and then you grab all the applicants and you send them an email saying, come on and I'm going to introduce you to the family in the house. And they all hopped on. Hey, nannies, what's up? Here's my wife, here's me.
It's like The Bachelor.
Yeah.
I would take them through the house, show them the kids, answer all their questions, tell them it's $12 an hour, plus you get to live in a house for free. We'll pay for your food, you can use your car, and you live near the beach. But I said the next step is you have to audition for the role. We're going to hire you for 1 day of babysitting on contract for $100, and you got to find your own way down here. So we had a whole bunch of them people apply saying, yeah, I'd love to, I'll pay you $100 one time to audition for the day. We're going to hire you for 1 day babysitting. And we had people fly in from all over the country to audition for a day babysitting to see who my wife liked. And then once we found the person we liked, she lived in Portland, Oregon. We hired her and she lived with us for 3 years, helping us raise the kids for $12 an hour until California changed their minimum wage laws, which we had up. So that was how we did that.
And you did the same thing, same philosophy, same execution kind of when you went to Tennessee. And I think the entrepreneurial person, you know, would just look at, oh my gosh, I have to hire a babysitter, right? And then you would post to Facebook and ask your friends and or if you had the wherewithal to post a job ad, you would get all those applications and you would kind of screen them and then you'd pick one that looks good and then you message them. You forget to message them back.
Exhausting.
Yeah, so I guess the point that it was an aha moment for me when, and he's done the flipping business and the buying business, kind of the same thing. You start with the system first, and then you go to execution. It's the exact opposite of like what an entrepreneurial person does. The entrepreneurial person goes and does the thing and tries to build the system along the way. Well, he's sitting in Tennessee running his 70-person business from Tennessee 5 hours a week or however long it is. And we're here schlubbing it away and you know, kitchen counters at 6 p.m., right? So, Frank, that's your intro.
Wow.
Now, I wanted to have you come in and talk, because I feel like you're a marketing expert.
Thank you.
You know, speaking to several of the problems or things that people want to get better at with the questions were, you know, how do I get consistent at messages? And then, you know, what's an easy way for an independent operator? Because most of the people here might have part-time admin, cyberbacker, virtual assistant, or one admin. And I feel like you've kind of perfected that already, right? And you're really good at creating copy that creates action, right?
Yep.
So maybe you can
Direct response marketing. Yes.
Perfect. Give us an overview, you know, educate us on that.
Sure. Well, at the most simplest levels, when you don't have much resources, you always start with your existing database. So just kind of follow me on here of maybe what you guys could do to drum up some business today fairly quickly. So there's an app you can go download on the App Store or whatever phone you have called Covey, C-O-V-V-E, I think. Export contacts by Covey. You can look it up. I think they charge you $5, but you install it and it will just very quickly pull all the contacts out of your phone into a spreadsheet. All right. Then the second thing is, I would assume most of you use Gmail or Outlook. You can go into your address book in your Gmail or Outlook and see all the contacts that are in there, and you can export that to a spreadsheet. Then you could go into your CRM, whatever one you use, or the CRMs you've used, and export all the contacts out of there into a spreadsheet. Got it? Then what you probably realize, a lot of those emails are bad. So there's a bunch of services out there that do email cleaning. At Viral, we use NeverBounce. So you just go to neverbounce.com and upload the spreadsheets and then download the clean ones, and it'll remove all the bad emails that won't go through a bounce or spam traps or whatnot. Then you're like, okay. Then you go sign up for like a MailChimp Constant Contact and you upload them all there. And when you do that, it'll automatically deduplicate all of them. So now you have a fully exported, deduplicated, scrubbed and clean list of everyone you've ever known in your entire life sitting in an email program. Right?
And you can actually leverage that out to a virtual assistant with a very clear, I want you to go to this website, you know, I want you to take this, see if you want, I want to do your phone, right? Pull the CSV out.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, there's probably the tyranny of how, but you can probably Google it and they'll give you the instructions, right? But it conceptually makes sense. So now you have to send a reason for people to maybe want to connect with you. So you got to give them a reason to respond. And I'll give you a bunch of reasons to respond. Hey, I'm holding a 2023 Sacramento Housing Outlook webinar. If you're thinking about selling your home and you're a little overwhelmed with property prices and interest rates and inflation and maybe politically what's going on, and you just want to kind of figure out what you need to do to prepare your home for a sale, maybe what you need to improve, what current buyer preferences are, I'm doing a webinar for an hour. Register here and for my seller workshop. That's a great offer, right? Another offer And again, this is like the core offer. This is called direct response marketing. You're putting this out to the market to get them to give you your contact information. Another one that's really popular is, hey, home prices have kind of been all over the place a little bit with last year. And if you're curious to know what your home is actually worth, I can tell you. I'm talking to buyers every day. And I'm sorry, but those online calculators you use don't work. Hence the Zillow offers, right? With the algorithms. So if you'd like my professional opinion of what your home would actually sell for if you put it on the market and what a buyer would pay for it, click here and find out for a free home valuation. And it drives them to your home bot or a home valuation, right? Another one that works really well is get on my VIP buyer list. Hey, I have access to properties that aren't on the MLS yet. I know there's different rules and laws with that, like coming soons and whatnot, but if you want to get pre-approved and you want to be ready to go and pull the trigger for someone else to get your dream house, and you want to get access to stuff right when I know about it, opt in now and get on my buyer VIP list. You guys catch it? So that's the essence of marketing, is you have to start with a good, strong offer. So now you set up a little landing page, you set up a little form. Maybe it's like an Eventbrite page or some type of form where people can go to register for your webinar or register to find out what their home is worth or opt into your VIP buyer list. Got to have some type of registration, a webinar registration form. You guys know what I'm talking about, all right? So now it's a matter of sending an email out to your whole list. The email would go something like this. Dear friends, family, and contacts, I'm writing you a little bit out of the blue just to kind of let you know that I'm still selling real estate. It's a crazy year last year when rates doubled. But I want to let you know things are still pretty good. Real estate's still moving and home prices are holding strong or whatever. But I just want to let you know what you hear in the national news isn't necessarily what's happening right here in a local market. So I'm going to step up my game. I'm going to start sending you some videos and some updates to keep you informed of what's going on in a local real estate market so you make smart real estate decisions. In the meantime, if you're curious to know what your home is worth, I can tell you. I know exactly what buyers are looking for here in the market. So if your home's a little dated or damaged, we got to fix it up. But you can click here and to request a free home valuation. And I'll tell you what your home is worth and what it would probably sell for if you put it on the market. In addition to that, I got this home buyer webinar coming up. You can register for that, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. So I appreciate you reading all this. If you don't want to hear from me ever again, no hard feelings, just scroll down to the bottom of this email and click on subscribe. But I look forward to keeping you up to date with what's going on in real estate. We're seeing a lot of changes given the hike of interest rates last year for mortgages. Look forward to staying in touch. Steve.
So Frank, speak to like direct, I feel like the direct offer or direct response marketing, I guess kind of explain the philosophy of the two because they're totally different.
They're very different. So you have
one is educational, right? And so you can kind of send that to everyone without directly asking them for something. So it's kind of like that, I think whatever his name is, it says jab, right hook, right?
Yes.
So explain the philosophy there.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah. So that's usually your first message. So if all of you did that and you sent that email that was very personal and humble and honest out to everyone you know in your entire life, and there was an option there to click a link to go back to a form to put their information in for something about buying or selling a home, you'll just get slammed with leads. Happens most of the time. You can't keep doing that all the time to your list, right? You just can't be going at them, hey, opt in, just beating them over the head. All right. That's where your educational videos come in that Steve was talking about. So at Keller Williams, or at least in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, you're taught about this concept of a 33 touch, or now a 36 touch, where for all of your past clients, all of your sphere, all of your leads, you need to be in front of them a lot, 3 times a month with something. So kind of the modern version of that is sending out 2 helpful videos every month, answering some commonly asked buyer or seller question. All right. So what's a common buyer or seller question that is asked? And you make a video answering that exact question and make sure that you're supplying real demand, what people want to know. So 2 videos a month. So Steve, you go check out his website. He sits down and on his phone, you do it right on your iPhone or a webcam, and he records 2 quick, 3-5 minute Q&A educational videos, keeping people updated, answering those commonly questions he's hearing, and he sends those out. And when you send them out, you can track who watches them. So for prospecting, instead of just kind of, randomly going through your whole database of just calling people, or just kind of having this randomness to your day of who you're calling, if Steve sends out or you send out a video on, let's just say, the 3 things you must know before you sell your home this year, you can actually see in these email programs who actually watches it. And you prioritize your phone call follow-up with those individuals, right? So that's the 2 videos a month, 2 helpful messages. It doesn't have to be videos, it could be podcasts, might it be holograms someday, I don't know. 2 helpful messages a month going out to your whole list, answering commonly asked questions. Got it? And that 3rd message every month is an offer for immediate response. Hey, attend my home selling workshop, attend my home buying workshop, get an offer on your home, find out what your home is worth, get a pre-listing improvement consultation, get on my home buyer VIP list. Those are all offers that you send out. And when people click the link, you drive them back to a form to put their information to generate a lead.
So the goal,
the system.
And for most people, like you, most people in this room, if you're not doing heavy amounts of marketing or lead gen, you really are working off of your database of people that you know and or your
Know you.
extended
Or know you, yeah.
Yeah, that you knew in high school. This is how you get to those people, because I probably too wouldn't call someone I haven't spoken to in like 7 years, right? But you start, and you are good at using video, right? I think if you turn that, I don't know if you're using this already, but you throw that in command and use command to email that out, or some free email service to see who opens it, now you have your call, right?
Can I ask a stupid question?
There are no stupid questions.
There are, I know. You're using your cell phone, you're putting it in MailChimp.
Mhm.
You just stick the video in MailChimp and you can see who watches it?
You have to
Or you have to-
upload them, you have to upload, once you take the video, you have to download it, then upload it to YouTube or Vimeo.
Okay,
right?
okay.
You have to put it to a hosting software,
Okay.
right? So it's super easy. I think we often when he was explaining all of that, I was thinking, I don't want to lose everyone here. Again, if you have to get less entrepreneurial and say, if I just do this
That's why I was like,
once-
that just sounds too easy to just go here and then it sticks in there. There was
Well,
the middle step.
it is pretty easy. It takes like 5 minutes. Everyone is kind of doing this on Facebook. However, you're not able to really essentially turn the Facebook into something that's the Facebook. I sounded old. You can't turn it into something where you can see who opened it, right?
Yes.
And so what you're trying to do is take the list of 2,000 people. This is all marketing, by the way. The list of 2,000 people and get them down to the 30 that opened it, down to the 5 that filled out the form, right?
So you just take the video, upload it to YouTube.
Upload it to
stick that
YouTube.
YouTube into
Yeah.
the email.
Yeah, or you hire someone like Viral and they do it for you. You hire a virtual assistant to do this for you. It's
Okay.
When you upload it to MailChimp and you send that out through command, does it track who opens and watches
so
those videos?
MailChimp is an email platform. You can, I think it's free up to 10,000 or 5,000, something like that. So MailChimp is just where you design the email. And so it has a little block you can use that says video. And you just put the YouTube link in there and boom, it pops up, right? And you can keep it as simple as that. Here's my video on how sellers are winning today in a video. You don't have to write copy or anything, right?
Does it show you who opens those, like you said,
Yes.
in MailChimp it does?
It'll say who opened the email, who clicked the link in the email, and then obviously if they click the link and go to your website, you'll know who did that. And then if you're asking them to fill out something, then obviously if you get a form, it's a lead, right? They actually filled out their contact information.
Okay.
So it would be a good example of people who open HomeBot, then click the link for a home value, and then click a link come to my house and give me a CMA, right? So there's kind of a few different tracks you can put in there to find the hot people that want information.
Cool.
So can I ask a question? Does Frank's company take this from nuts and bolts
They
from
do it
the
all.
very beginning and then implement all those so that you
But
don't?
that's not why he was here.
No, but I'm just curious because if you're not a techie person and all the things that you just said make your head explode, does it?
You call them, I hired them. I could reenact or redo what they all do and probably do it for a comparable cost, but why would you ever do that, right? So they will take all of your databases, scrub them. Every time an email goes out, they re-scrub them. And I was gonna ask you, Frank, why is that important? Because I get tons of spam emails, but why is that important?
Well, if you do it wrong, you might find that your business email, where you start trying to do transactions and deals, goes to everyone's spam,
That's me. I email
which
Gary.
would be like the death sentence of
Hey,
like communication.
your email keeps coming to our spam. I don't know why. And
Oh.
I got Frank actually. My email server is spam blocked because it's connected to our CRM. It's sending 10,000 emails a week, you know,
Interesting.
to bad emails, right? So that is important. So yes, you can hire Frank's company. And the idea around that is, and he actually was nice enough to give us 25, what is it? What
Oh,
was
the
it?
seller topic. Did you guys get those? Yeah.
I didn't give them out yet, but I will give them out.
Yeah. So one of the things we've done is, I think we send 90 million emails a year for people in the real estate space. So I kind of know which ones, and also we put like thousands of videos on YouTube. So I kind of know which seller topics are the hottest. And I gave them all to Steve, and you guys can have them. And then if you're wondering, once you get these topics that are really good for kind of like the seller want to pay attention to, like, well, what's the answer? Just Google it. So just copy and paste it into Google, and you'll just see pages of answers and just kind of formulate your own based upon the headline.
Yeah, so basically he provided us the titles of questions and or problems that you can just work down the list all year to, there's 24, right?
Yeah.
24, 25. And so you can just take that and implement that right away, right? Just shoot 1 to 2, 3-minute videos on each little topic. That's been proven. These are the most open topics from the 90 million emails that they sent, right? Very easy.
Yeah, for sellers specifically, and for YouTube, and for your video, man. I mean, I'm on a Logitech C920 webcam. I'm on a $60 webcam. You just got to make sure you look right at the lens when you record and you make your videos just like this. For those of you that have iPhones, the iPhone's now a webcam. So you can download an app that will make your iPhone a webcam on your computer. You look great.
That's cool. What pieces of advice have you seen? Because Frank goes to all the real estate conferences, right? All brokerages. What would you say is the biggest like roadblock and or where people get to the next level on where they want to go, in that middle portion, let's say? Everyone here is over 10 million in volume, right? But between, let's say 10 and 50 million, what would you say?
That's a great question, Steve. So I'll give you the real, true, emotional answer of doing this for my entire career. Is you start off as a salesperson where you're selling one-to-one, like it's hand-to-hand combat, one-to-one to one-to-one to one-to-one to one, right? Where you really talk questions-based selling. So you ask lots of questions and you can tailor the message just to the prospect. But as you start moving up the communication ladder, you start going from selling one-to-one or messaging one-to-one to one-to-many. And that's where you start getting that jump where it's like, I'm just maxed out with my own time, specifically from like a marketing and sales standpoint. Like this one-to-one is killing me. How can I start going one-to-many? And you start jumping into doing seminars. You start jumping into doing workshops. You start maybe jumping into hiring people to be on the phone on your behalf. You start jumping into writing an email and sending it out, doing a video and sending it out. And you have to make that jump to using media to communicate as opposed to just one-to-one. And that's a whole self-esteem jump of being able to really put yourself out there to start doing these types of things. Because think about it, like how many people want to round up all their contacts and get on a video and send it out? Very small. I mean, it definitely works. There's tons of proof, but there's an emotional aspect to it. And I think that's the level of growth we need to get to, Steve, to get to the next level.
So basically what you're saying is there's a ceiling of achievement for anybody one-to-one in sales.
Yeah.
You need to master marketing actually, right?
You have to learn how to communicate one-to-many.
I think there's 2 models in real estate. There's or 3. Like it's me, I do everything. Or you're going to run like almost like a brokerage model. I'm going to go hire a bunch of people to do to do the sales. Or you master marketing that generates leads and high conversion rates, right? I choose master marketing, control like a smaller group of people, right? Work with a smaller group of people and really like maintain a service level that we like that we want to command. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Versus like Keller Williams' model is like hire as many as we can because like a certain percentage of them are going to do great. Well, Keller Williams can do that at the brokerage level because they're not touching a customer. But as soon as you start in your world, customer to customer, hand-to-hand combat, that reflects back on you. You know, when you start hiring a bunch of people to without expectations or standards or anything, it gets really messy, right?
But we are, just on a side note, we are the customer for Keller Williams.
Oh, for sure.
We are, so
Yeah.
so they have to have that balance as well
100%.
in their side, because we are the customer.
100%. Like, and I think when I first like internalized that and like hanging around with people like Frank, you know, I guess any business outside of like the mom and pop one-to-one, you know, their primary function, other than their core service that they deliver, is marketing, right? Like, how do you go get customers? There's no business that ever launched in history that went medium or big without marketing or some kind of channel to grow their customer acquisition, let's call it. And the financial industry is big on webinars, right? Or radio, or sometimes TV, but mostly radio. But if you look at financial advisors, they're huge on webinars. And I actually am interested in that model. Like, you're going out, you're educating people, I think you're elevating yourself above the other Joe Schmo real estate agents. And eventually, just like this, it's kind of small and it starts to grow and it starts to grow, right? There's lots of agents that crush that webinar model.
I'll put a link in the chat. So Sue Adler is a Keller Williams agent up in North Jersey. I believe
A
the number
luxury
one.
agent, by the way. Their median sale price is like 1.5 million. So
And she's
what you're about to say, she sells 1.5 million and above.
and she's put thousands of homeowners, very affluent homeowners, through her online seller workshops. And she just shows up twice a week, does 2 workshops a week, packs all the homeowners on the webinar, does her listing presentation one-to-many. And then when people are ready to hire her, she gives them to her agents, and she just sits at home and goes on tour for workshops all over North Jersey. And if you want to see how to do that, I'm going to put in the chat there a interview with her on how that works. And she had to go from being one-to-one-to-one to going to one-to-many.
And that's a very true story. That's not like a joke. When I first heard that, I thought, what affluent seller who's bought probably quite a few homes by that point, $2 million, $3 million home, is going to
Mostly
show
downsizers.
seller workshop, you know, to how to prepare your home for sale, right? But I mean, it makes sense. Like, a lot of them are older. They haven't sold a home for 20 years, right? Or 15 years. They crush it with that concept, right? But it's not just the workshop, right? Frank, again, it goes back to why to call. It's the email, it's the direct mail piece to the neighborhood that says you're invited. It's all the phone calls to all the invites that you get, like the text message confirmation.
It started with a strong offer for a response.
Exactly.
And then she spent, you know, however much you can afford on the media to get it out. Yeah.
So it's
Steve, I gotta run. But
right,
you guys
cool.
are very lucky to be able to learn from a guy like Steve. I have the utmost respect for him. Steve, thanks for having me. See you guys later.
And you have his info.
I do. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look like he crushes it.
What would that look like? Be careful.
He actually looked quite dressed up for us today. Normally, he looks like he's in his pajamas. Because he always works from home. I'm envious of him.
So that
I mean,
is going
Viral's
out
like
here.
a $3-4 million subscription model, $600 a month for every customer. They have like 2,000 customers, set it and forget it business, and he owns it independently. So I mean, he's doing $5 million in revenue a year for just that. You know, the single family home business is generating like 150,000 in rents a month, right? So I mean, he runs big businesses.
Good present.
And I just think that what he's communicating is that's when that call comes, when that kind of marketing is happening, those people aren't even going to ask the question, why are you calling me?
Yeah.
Because there's so much, it's like, oh, they already have my contact. They clearly have been marketing this product or service or click here, whatever. and they've been responding to them at least by clicking it. So when that call comes, it's not like, Nick Toomey, why are you talking to me? You know, it's like, I already know.
I'll send you the whole thing. I'll email everyone you came.
So something I keep done bold.
Yes.
So I think one of the scripts and one of the tactics that you're supposed to follow in bold is that I'm sorry script to people you have not followed up with, talked to in years, or people from high school. And I did it, every person we coached the team on to do it, everyone led with that script, and it immediately breaks down the barriers for, why are you calling me? You say, sorry, we have not kept in touch. You're obviously not making a business on that phone call, but it does take an initial, like, hey, yeah, you're right, I haven't been talking to you.
Sure.
Well, that's what he said on after you scrub your database and you get your now email pod, he basically verbalized I'm sorry I haven't kept in touch and I'm gonna do this going forward.
I'll send you guys
And I
that
have to
email
tell
too.
you-
He just wrote that. I mean, he kind of just said that, but he almost memorized his copy. So, the other value thing that comes from Frank is they kick out like reams of that kind of stuff year long. And so he just is he's the kind of guy who will just sit down for 3 hours and like just stress over every little word. And I just don't do that. Mine has misspellings and, like, hey, hit me up if you want to sell, right? So I think that, go ahead.
No, so my daughter calls me and says, I got a message from someone that says that they know me, and I'm not sure who they are. And he's like, well, I'm the only so-and-so that you know, and we went to high school together, and just wanted to let you know that I'm in real estate now. And she's 25 years old, so she's getting to the age where she, but that was just done literally 5 days ago. She received that.
Yeah,
So those are going out.
right.
But I think going back to, I have the same thing, I have this giant list on Facebook and I have 200 people I market to. Like, that doesn't equate, right?
So let's jump into, we could go till 3:30. I had one at 3 and then one at 3:30, however long you guys want to go. I think I guess my answer to getting from 10 million to 20 million or 30 or 40 million is you have to get outside of the people you know, right? And it's hard because it's either you spend money or you prospect, you do open houses, you call, door knock, right? There's all these different ways we can go find people that we don't know or we haven't met, right? And so I think what Frank is talking about is that works for everyone you already have contact information for, right? So I want to make a clear delineation. You have to have the contact info to be able to send them a video, right? So you've already generated that lead. That's not lead generation, right? That is actually just nurturing, and I look at it as like providing valuable content to the people you already have, right? Versus canned emails or like CRM provided email follow-ups, because you're not putting your database on those, right? So what winds up happening is your database doesn't get a systematic follow-up routine. Does that make sense? Unless you are truly, which most of us aren't doing this, but you're truly running like the DD2, whatever they call it. You're calling your database in a systematic way 4 times a year just to connect. And most of us aren't. So, part of today I wanted to go over that, like, let's just clearly delineate. We have our sphere and our database, and I'm gonna give you some ideas that we implement to stay in contact with the database. But all of our leads that come into open houses, I would recommend you have to build systems to capture every piece of contact information. Write this down. If you have your cell phone on your signs currently, you need to take some of that, $250,000, because we're at 10 million, and spend it on freaking new signs with a Google number or Ring Central number or a call rail number, a number that's not your cell, okay? Because we all know you're not calling every single call on your phone back. And every missed call, I had 3 leads that we missed and didn't follow up on this week, right? I'm like, there's a person that says they want to buy a house and we didn't respond, right? So you need to find a way to separate your phone. That's the first step to creating a business, right? If anybody knows Tom Davis, Tom had his cell phone number as his phone number on all of his marketing and his signs for 30 years, right? And he had to leave his cell phone when he went on vacation. Literally, like for his admin, like, hey, answer all my phone calls. He had a second phone for his vacation phone. Like, that doesn't sound like a life for me.
Can I ask a weird question? Is there any kind of company or organization that comes in and looks at your business and tells you where your holes are? Like that comes in and says, follows you for a day or follows and says, okay, I can see, Elizabeth, that you have a hole here because you have the wrong number on your signs. I don't, but let's say I did. And I can see that when you get a lead, it's not,
I mean,
it's
it
not
sounds like a
going.
business idea. I think the market's really small for that. Eric's over there holding his hand.
Well, there are lots of them, Elizabeth, and I will tell you that
Consultants.
was the downfall of the Tom Davis team here at PW, was they hired a consultant. How long was he with us for?
3 months, maybe.
3 months, where he's diving into every system, not from a real estate background. He's looking at the MREA thinking it's dumb, and we had just turned everything around from $7,000 profit to $500,000 profit. So he's in there questioning every system. We start making changes, and then he saw the EXP model. He was given the EXP model, and he's like, oh, undoubtedly, this is where you need to go. And then that consultant helped him consult him to another company. So we were sitting there, and there was a lot of time that we thought was wasted energy, and as far as the holes and stuff like that are concerned. But there are a ton of those people out there that will.
Well, I guess for me, just because I'm not a technical person and I don't see things like that, like I see in pictures, I don't see in specifics. So it's really difficult for me to figure out
So
where
this
those
mastermind should
are.
help you, right? And you should give that to your admin. Hey, find a phone system that can work for my cell phone.
So I found someone that did 3 times the amount of business I did and hired him as a consultant.
Yeah.
And it cost me, what,
$1,500 a month or something.
$3,000 a month, because it was both consulting myself and my CEO. And I just sat down and just listened, and instead of being a coach where it's like, how are you feeling today? What's like, no, talk to me and tell me what I'm doing.
Tell me what I'm missing.
And dude, and at one point he was so frustrated, he says, okay, you're gonna be in Alaska on next Friday, you're gonna spend the whole day, you're leaving on Thursday, you're gonna read this book, you're staying all day Friday, and you come back on Saturday, thanks, bye. And instead of me going, ooh, we have time, we just got on a plane and flew, and what are we doing? He locked us in a room for a full day and figured it out. And so, but that's what you pay for, is like somebody, I don't know, I don't, there's no business model for that, but I mean, that kind of shifted us around so that we don't have duplication of jobs. But I think that was a big thing, is finding somebody who does it better than you do.
Yeah, who's like a couple steps ahead of you, and that's why, you can easily find that here, right? And just say, hey, but I think that some of it's gonna take us getting better as business owners and being willing to do things that we're not good at, because you need to understand it to then get someone to execute it for you. And that's what I've learned, and that's kind of a problem too, because once you understand it and you know how to do it, you're gonna choose to do it because it's usually faster than trying to teach someone else how to do it. That's the Achilles heel of growth, right?
You want to do it all.
Yeah, well, you do, and oftentimes we can do it faster, that one thing, but that one thing is taking us away from a much higher dollar per hour producing activity. So I would say you just get the framework of, I need to figure out how to change my number on everything, and then I think you already have that, don't you?
Well, I have like the number piece I have.
Okay, so just making sure that's changed everywhere, right? And what that, I can't stress enough what that solves for you. Like, you document every phone call, you can integrate it to your CRM, at least you got the number, right? And then you have a log that you can give to someone to call back, or you at least can call back and know which ones are called back, which ones weren't, right? And as you grow and as you hire people, that's the way that you retain like the ability to know what's being called, when. It's a way to start documenting what's happening, right? And you can leave, right? And your cell phone doesn't follow you anymore. You can turn the app off or forward it to someone or have a different voicemail or whatever. Like, technology can help you in that way, right? Yeah. But clearly, based on like what Frank talked about, you need to have leads in a database to send them videos. The videos are not gonna, that's why I question Facebook and Instagram. I don't not think it's a good idea, and I don't not think people do get leads off of Facebook and Instagram. I do think they do. I don't think they're generating there's very few people who are generating new qualified leads. I think people are leveraging their databases. If they're putting out good content that's educational and people follow them, they're getting referrals through their sphere that way, right?
It's more database type.
Yeah, But I would say, like, if you just go on Instagram or look at anything real estate related, we all kind of feel like, well, that's where we have to be because that's where everyone's coaching to. And I think there's a lot of money being made off of agents. And it's just an ego stroke too, you know, kind of showing off on social media. I mean, I've been doing a lot of social media for a long time, and it's not even in our top 10, you know, sources of business. And maybe that's my personality, I don't know. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Not in our top 5 either.
No.
No, we do a massive
I look at it more as like a way to touch your database, certain segments of your database, and people engage. And it's just another medium to touch them with educational content, you know.
I was listening to this podcast called Marketing Made Simple by under the umbrella of people who wrote Story Brand, if you ever read that book. But it's like 20-minute podcast.
That is a great book to read, by the way.
And they had a gal on named Amy Porterfield, if you've ever heard of her, but I guess she's like is she like a marketing guru that everyone loves? But one of the things she was harping on was that it's your database is not your social media accounts. Your database is that email list that you have. And that the strength of that list is way better than any social media thing that you're doing because you can control it. You can always control that email list. Whereas if they switch the algorithm tomorrow, who's seeing your message and how they're seeing is going to completely change. So keeping that strong and social media is absolutely a thing that drives the growth of your email list, but that's not the foundation. The foundation is that email list.
Well, and that's why that big push through Command and just the migration to a CRM, they want name, email address, and address, right? Like your contact list is like your business, right? And it used to be in a Rolodex, then it used to be on paper, now it's on CRM, right? So, you know, I would just look at your CRM as a way to scale mass communication to your database. I think when I made that distinction, it was big because 6 years ago, Boomtown was just looked at as, well, that's a lead generation website, right? That's, you know, CRMs were kind of tied to, oh, you do lead gen, internet lead gen. But I think if you look at it as a way to scale if you look at Salesforce, the giant company that's a CRM company for like top tier businesses, it's a way for them to scale customer service across their whole network. So like when you call Verizon and Verizon picks up and they say, oh, hey, Steve, I see that you just called such and such. They're running Salesforce and they can see, just like on Command or Boomtown, all the notes from every call and all your visits and how much you spend. You know, it's just a way to immediately pull up your database and see. And I would say that your database should be that clean. The last call you had with them, what you talked about, your next follow-up task. And that's why I wanted the first discussion to be around that, because I think that if we aren't doing that well, you can't get to the next level. You just cannot. And if you do try to get to the next level, you try to hire someone to work in it, or you try to market to add more people to it, it's a shit show, right? And it's gonna be a shit show, or you just are wasting tons of money until this is dialed. And you gotta get clear. Lead gen and then nurturing a database, right? So we have, see ya, thanks for coming. That's all right. Good luck with that drive. So I would look at leads. This would be like someone that's new. The rules of like your lead database, right? For us, this is right off of our training. A new lead goes through 21 days of follow-up, right? You generate it at an open house. Our philosophy is 2 calls a day for 21 days. That's 42 calls, right? Does it always happen that way? No.
Until you speak with them?
Yeah, you don't call them another 27 times. Once you speak, I do have a little thing that I like to say. Once you speak to someone, you should make 5 contacts in 90 days, right? But kind of like the 8x8 they train, you want to solidify the relationship, right? Send them an item of value after your first call to confirm they got the item of value. That's your second call, right? And then you just find ways to call them from there. So an unqualified lead, so once it's a new lead for 21 days, if you don't talk to them, after 21 days, it turns to an unqualified lead, by which we continue to follow up for another 2 months. So that lead has been in the database for 3 months, right? And this could be a call that comes in on a listing, This could be an open house lead that hasn't responded to you yet, right? Anything that comes into you that you're not quite sure what it is yet, you need to have a methodology and a plan for. And in your CRM, you should have certain triggers and tasks that tell you to do this stuff, and you have to do it in an organized way. I feel like I'm losing you on this stuff. No.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's not your fault. It's
That's
just,
okay.
that's just the way my brain is. So like it just freaks me out to hear all this stuff.
You
But
can
that's
give
all
this to your admin and say, hey, make this work.
Yeah.
I, just so you know, I just started on Monday with my brand new admin. So it's like a very new thing that I'm like fully like, I gotta learn this stuff too a little bit, even though I'm passing off to her. And there's the
Yeah,
60.
do not ever just pass it off.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
You gotta know it. We gotta
Right.
do the hard work to know the shit.
Well, what I'm learning right now is that I'm setting her up on, she's doing the 66 days of commands. There's a YouTube, literally go onto YouTube and it's 66 videos all on command. And I'm having her watch it and I haven't watched any of them. And it's like, I need to know that. So anyways, you could start to do that and get a little bit, maybe it might take off a little bit of the stress. They're little quick 5-minute videos.
I am so sorry,
Amazing,
guys.
they make
I was
you
not
money.
even sharing the damn screen. So you guys are like, what are you guys even talking about? I am so sorry.
Is it true?
Now I am. I just clicked share. Sorry, guys. Anyways, let me just think here. You have to have a philosophy of a lead flow, right? This is anybody new into your database. A nurture lead is someone who you verified, you spoke to them after you generated the lead. You might talk to them at an open house and they say, I want to move within a year. To me, that's a new lead until you solidify like what the deal is, right?
Are we getting all this?
I'm gonna send this as an email.
Oh.
Remember that. I'm gonna, so I don't forget. Watch lead is anybody, I call a watch lead anybody over a year, right? My goal, I want to generate more leads that are nurtures and watches to make sure that I have a career a year from now, right? Like obviously we need to get paid today, but if you're sitting in this room, you figured out a way to at least make enough money and have enough consistent sales to live. You need to generate more people that are nurtures and watches. That's the only way to grow your volume.
Can I ask a question?
What?
So your open house, that's a new lead, and you're following up with them until you've moved them to a nurture lead. You're not meeting them at an open house and immediately moving them.
No,
to
because
nurture.
I think you run the risk of not following up with them enough.
That's correct.
Yeah, and they often lie at the open house,
Right.
right?
No.
Yeah, right? So you need to, I just treat it as they're a new lead.
So they're a brand new lead until you speak with them a second time.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Thank you.
And then a hot lead, I would say is someone within 90 days. And we'll get into in the next slide how you communicate with them. Someone who's inactive is not interested, or they say we might move in 5 years or whatever. But I can promise you need thousands of those because they say 5 and then a year later they move, right? Every lead is a good lead. There's just bad follow-up, right? So we want to build database, like the guy named Jeff Cohen, he has a podcast called the Team Building Podcast. He is in Omaha, Nebraska, and Frank's a good friend of his. They run the #1 team in Omaha, selling like 800 homes, right? But his goal was to get every person who's in Omaha in his database so that he knew, and his database is like 460,000 deep now, right?
Holy crap.
And there's only 300,000 people that live in Omaha. So, but what he figured was if he can get all of them, half of them have to move because they own homes, right? And he's gonna get a certain percentage of them, right?
Wow.
And so he has gone through 15 years, of building a database, and it doesn't mean you have to call them all, but if you have a good, marketing engine working for you, they're gonna, if they've been in there for 4 years, they're gonna say like, the Cohen team, I hear and see you everywhere, right? And they call you. You don't have to have a relationship with them, right? And so an unqualified lead to me, or I would call this like trash, archive, whatever you call it, they opt out. They say, don't contact me anymore. If it's in the first 21 days and they say, don't contact me anymore, we keep calling. So, but if it's asked multiple times, or it's old, or it's never responded, then you can change it. That's my rules, but you can make your own rules, okay? So I put this in here because I really want to kind of show you like what it would look like. Like on our team, like a new lead comes in, right? It says, however it comes in, a form, a call, open house. There's kind of two different directions a lead can go, right? One, it's new and it stays new and you keep calling it. The other is it goes into the pipeline because you've talked to them or messaged them or something happened where they were clear about a timeline, when, where, why, or maybe they just told you why and you need when and where and all that stuff, right? If you make contact with a lead, it has to change to something, right? You need to clearly delineate like where do I put them in my bucket? In the old days, it was like I had a 12
Month.
Yeah, you would just put the lead sheet in the month you were going to follow up with them,
Yeah.
right? So in your CRM, you're doing the same thing. You can just do it with 5 times more leads, which means your income can be 5 times more in the same period of time if you're organized, right? So they would go into a hot nurture watch, and we would have different follow-up plans, of automation built on that, okay? And then you just keep following up with a new lead or an unqualified lead until they call. If they don't answer in 3 months, we move them into like buckets where anyone can call them. They just keep getting calls and calls and calls. And this is where you can hire like a virtual assistant for $1,500 a month and do a lot of that stuff for you, right? Make phone calls for you, kick back, yeah.
Have you figured out a good time of day to make the calls? Like between 4 and 7, do you feel like you get more answers? Because they're on their way back home from work, or they're on their way to work, maybe make the calls earlier in the morning instead of calling them during the work hours and say, I'm at work, I can't answer.
Yeah, I've always found that like 7 to 9, 7 in the morning to 9 is the best window for answers, and then 5 to 8, right? But that doesn't mean if you can't call 5 to 8 that you're not doing it in the morning. Like you have to I think that's another thing, you have to spend like 3 hours a day moving your business forward somehow. Right? Some people don't have to or want to. I would say if you want to get to the next level, you have to get consistent on moving the business forward with your follow-up or your lead gen or however you're generating your business, right? And that's not like shooting the videos and doing the stuff. I'm calling, I'm making connections, I'm doing my web, I'm getting my seller nurtures all in for my webinar that I'm doing, right? That's prospecting efforts, right? I don't think that ever stops, even when you start marketing at a high level, because now you're following up on all these leads. You have to call them. Yeah.
7 a.m. You don't think is that ever too early? Are people irritated? It's like right at 7 a.m.
I have never had an issue with that. I mean, I haven't since having kids. I haven't been able to hit 7 a.m. on the dot. Right? Yeah.
My 2-year-old, he's banging on something at 5 a.m.
Sure.
Yeah. So but for probably 6 years, I was 7 to noon,
We
right?
just call it expired and you start.
Yeah, so I've never had an expired listing is gonna say, this is way too effing early, right?
No way, they're ready to go to work, they wanna get their house sold.
Yeah, that is
You have to get
true.
over the pissed off that their house is sold.
8 or 9 is too late on the expired, but I would say you're gonna get way more answers that turn into good conversations at 7 than the people who are pissed at you, right?
I think just picking up the phone.
And if you say, hey,
Driving home from work.
what other real estate agents are working at from 7 o'clock in the morning, right? Like, this is my career, I do this for a living, right? You can turn it into some fun,
Sure.
right?
Also, when's the last time someone who wasn't supposed to be calling you called you and you answered that and they were like, oh joy! I don't remember what time of day it is, so let's just figure that.
Or you call
Yeah.
on the way home from work and they're pissed off.
So
Yeah.
you have to pick away, like you're generating leads, somehow, right? You're getting new people, and I think you're just waiting for your database to send you people. You're gonna hit a plateau based on the size of your database. It's only gonna be able to give you so many people, right? So you have to be willing to branch out, like what Frank said, and speak to the masses, right? So we have a good philosophy on leads, like what happens when a lead is generated, but how do we move them into our Met database, right? Like I consider all leads the database, but I communicate to all leads differently, right? Like new leads, they go on like automation. that texts them and emails them, trying to get them to answer, right? But I also like send them the same shit that my Met database gets too, right? So not only get all those texts, but now they get my 51 touches a year too, right? So a lead in my database that I haven't talked to or is considering like buying or selling probably gets 100 pieces of communication a year from me, right? Like calls, emails, invites, videos, retargeting on Facebook. I'll show you at the end, like you have to kind of create this web, right? Of like, they will just never forget you once you meet them, right? So some things you can do to your Met database, right? I think they should
Are
get
you
out.
using slide dial stuff?
We do. I would be careful with that though. Like there's some TCPA rules that you break when you do that. So we try to call 4 times a year, and I'll get to how we do that. The 24 educational emails, right? So Frank's company creates the email for you, right? They take your email and turn it into an email copy, right? They actually write the email out from your video. So they take everything you say in the video and write it out in an email. Got it? And then they'll post it to your YouTube channel, your Facebook, your Instagram, you do TikTok, whatever, they'll do that too. And then LinkedIn. They'll take it, your video, and put it on all the formats for you, so you don't have to deal with it, right? But if you do it yourself, which is fine, you'll upload it. I would say take your video, I would put it to YouTube first, because you have to like get it somewhere, and then you send it in an email, Command, MailChimp, wherever you email from, and then also put the same video on your Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever channels you decide, right? It's important. You have to reuse the same content, so it's across all the platforms. So the work you did to create the content is good.
Yeah.
And these, if you look at like, because I have Frank, they kind of edit the videos, but they just put it in like bubble type. It doesn't have to be beautiful. I would not care about like the styling of your content. Push the content. Don't edit it. Like literally edit the beginning because you have to, because you push the start button. You don't want to push. I got many videos where I'm like, all right guys, let's go. You have to like edit that part and then edit the end, but push it out. One thing I've been trying to do is push out more 1 to 2 minute videos like 3 times a week, and I shoot them and I just push them out, right? And I will say like that consistent effort, it takes me maybe 20 minutes a week, has absolutely like churned out more interest, I would say. So 24 emails a month purely for educational videos. 12 market update emails, that would be HomeBot, right? These are your, if you have a seller with an email address or a past client, you're sending them a home valuation email, right?
You said 24 educational emails a year or a month?
A year.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, 2 a month,
Yeah,
2 a month.
2 a month, got it.
Yeah,
You could do 24.
So your whole Met database past client list should get 2 emails that are educational, 1 market update email, right, with their home value. So now they're getting 3 emails a month. If you're a Nordstrom client or like a Starbucks client, I mean, these companies email you every freaking day, dude. Like twice a day, right? Sometimes I open them, sometimes I don't. But I certainly don't unsubscribe, right?
Oh, yeah, I do.
So,
That takes some time.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to go look for the button, right? I mean, that's why I have like so many unread emails, right? So the client events, I would say everybody in this room should make an investment into doing client events. I hate like in-person stuff. And so the last thing I want to do is get my client in front of me and talk to them after I've helped them, So I have to, I'm being dead serious here. I have to control like,
But that just goes to show what you're saying right there, just goes to show how you can have in real estate a radically different philosophy in business and function at a high level from somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I love going to our client events, right? But, put me in front of one client for too long and it's like, oh, okay, I just don't like small talk, right? But I do want to give them value. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I don't want to ask them for referrals. You know, I want to give them things of value, so they support my business, right? But I don't want to go sit at their kitchen table, you know, and hang out with them. These are not my friends, right? I have a core group of people that I would love to go hang out with that are kind of like me too, right? But most of the people I service are not like me. So, you know, we got to do 4 client events. We want to do 4 client events. You can do 2, whatever the case may be. You know, the client events are the most important part because this gives you the reason to call. The people that you've never talked to, you say, hey, I'm doing a client event and I thought of you. Imagine how freaking special they feel, right? Dude, you rented a movie theater, and the movie theater costs like $1,800 and it's not that big of a deal. Just say, hey man, I rented out a movie theater in June, I want to see if you want to come. Bring your kids.
I actually just rented out a movie theater. I have to reschedule the movie, but it's only $500 right now.
Well, it's
Depends on the
because of
movie.
COVID and all of that, it got way cheap. But
And then get a sponsor.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
we leverage our vendors to pay for, like, every year. Last year we started it, we make them commit to a certain amount of money that they're going to commit for the whole year and what event they're going to sponsor. It's really organized now, but just go book I would say you just go book the date and then figure out how to make the shit happen, okay? Because that'll force you to do it. But the client events are the answer to the whole stack of touches, right? Because you have 24 educational emails, 4 of those can be video event invites, right? So it doesn't have to be all educational, they have to come up with what am I gonna say, right? 4 of them are video emails. And if you wanna layer on top of that 1 piece of mail a month, if you want, I think you should send mail, a lot of people open it. There's 4 of your mailing pieces, invitations, right? So.
If you wanna be annoying, you put confetti in it, and then they're like, thanks, Chrissy.
Yeah, you can do that, you can do that. So the 4 events are the trigger for the calls. So you get 4 calls a year with everybody in your database. And then we add our leads into all that too. So the leads get invitations as well. And so they start to see like, wow, this is like a company that's not just trying to sell me something, right? They're getting invitations to all this stuff. The call-in giveaways like the reverse bold, if anyone is, KW folks would know that. It's like you buy a green egg barbecue and you say you're gonna give it away, they call in to you. You're just cross-verifying you have the right information, you have an opportunity to ask them for a referral. I think the reverse bold strategy is a good one. I know people that really do well with that. Again, you're giving away a prize, you're getting them to call in, and then you're taking your 1,000 people and you're getting 100 calls and you're just talking to those people, right? It's a way to make 100 contacts really fast, right? And that's all we're looking to do is like make as many contacts as we can. The 3 webinar events, I've been inconsistent with that, but every time I've done it, it's worked out really well. Don't be afraid to do it, okay? It's not about who shows up that moment, right? And the client events, don't worry if no one shows up, right? First of all, no one's not gonna show, okay? And second of all, it's not about the client event in person. It's about all the touches you can create around it and giving something away of value instead of just like, hey man, what's up? You know, do you know anybody that wants to make a move? You know, like you're like a sleazy agent if you do that. And then this year, my goal is to do like 2 charity events, like trying to give something away, raise money, whatever the case may be. I didn't add on here mail, like we do 1 mailer a month. I think mail, I love mail.
I love them.
I think mail has, like, if you go to your mailbox, it's actually quite empty now compared to like 4 years ago. I think most of the money has gone digital. And if you look at a lot of these new companies, like Thumbtack or anything new that's launched, right, a new app, it's pretty interesting when they launch into like an area, right? Because, you know, with digital and these new ideas and concepts, there's been a lot of launches in markets, like when Open Door launched in our market, when, what's that other Open Door competitor? OfferPad came into our market. It's been really cool to watch them launch these businesses because you can see the strategy play out over and over. They go big on social media, they spend millions of dollars on like just generic video, right? Kind of explaining this service that you offer, like your 2 educational videos, right? And then the people who watch those videos, they retarget them with a call to action, like, oh, do you want to offer on your house, right? Once you watch the video, you're at the very tippity top of their marketing net, right? Then if you watch the video all the way to the end, you are like in the middle of their funnel, right? And then they give you a different message there. This is like high level marketing, right? And then after like several weeks of that launch, they'll start plastering freaking billboards everywhere, right? Billboards, TV ads, they just start pushing advertising. It looks like 2 or 3 months, and then it seems to all kind of go away. But in the end, OfferPad has hundreds of listings, right? So it's clear that it works, right? They spend a lot of money at scale. You got to talk to a lot of people to get a few that want to make a move, right? So when you start thinking about your business, I think that at this level that you're all at, you have to be willing to spend money. I think if you're not willing to spend money, it's okay. You're just, if you want to, I think you just make a decision, like you either want to grow or you want to maintain, right? The problem with maintaining is a year like this year comes and it's hard for you to maintain because you need like 2 or 3x the number of people to maintain the same level of income, right? So I think the reason I have always thought I need to grow is because there's going to be slow years, or shit's going to happen where I get hurt, or something's going to happen where I'm not consistent, and you just always have to be chasing, like, how do I grow my business, or else people from your database die, right? Like Gary has said this, our database is always shrinking, right? So we have to always grow it, or else 4 years from now, a quarter of your database is either kicked the bucket or moved.
Yeah,
right?
perfect example, that was Cadillac. Cadillac's database died.
Oh, yeah, right?
If you look at car industry, and they've been trying to reinvent themselves ever since to make it up.
I don't know,
But
that
they
new
lost.
S is pretty
I was gonna
badass.
say.
They lost.
It's got sexy front end. Maybe if they weren't $136,000,
Oh my gosh,
people
I
could freaking
know.
buy one.
I used to be really satisfied with my minivan until that car came out.
There's so many $100,000 vehicles now. It's
Oh,
crazy.
they're all, yeah, pretty much.
So I just kind of wanted to share this with you, just so it kind of gives you a framework, right, of like what you can build inside of your organization, and what it should be. This, I don't want to say organized. You need to look for ways to systematize your business so that it gives you more time, or at least you just are working in a methodology versus kind of just waiting, right? Like your businesses are so big, they're going to continue to be fruitful for you, right? But it's not consistent, and it's also not scalable if you want to grow, right? So once you start making little chunks, that's why I say start with the database first, right? Start with your database, clean it up, get it systematized, build out some automation. I didn't talk about that, but even our past clients go on, drip plans, emails on their birthday, text messages on their birthday. There's, I think, 4 holidays where they get a text message like Happy 4th of July or whatever. Just consistent touches constantly, right? And you got to not worry it's not your cell phone. Okay, that's a key point. So you have to have some form of lead gen, right? So if you think about your world, your real estate business, this is your real estate business, right? If you took a whiteboard, your real estate business looks like this. Yours looks like mine. You might have less little boxes and circles, but your business is this, and it focuses around your CRM or your cell phone, one of the two. Or if you're really old school, your little accordion folder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these different ways of filling your accordion folder, right? Referrals, for us, radio, direct mail, pay-per-click, referral, events, expireds, outbound calls, open houses, all the shit, right? So you have to figure out ways to fill that bucket, right? It goes into your CRM. That's one piece of your business.
So, I'm the annoying question lady. Because each one of those boxes now has a system behind it. So if you're on radio, this is this comes in, that is where I lose it. I can build this, but it's the open houses. What does that email look like? What does that follow-up plan look like? I don't know.
So you can't look at it like that. I would start with one.
Yeah.
Right? One, all 8 don't happen at once is the answer.
True.
So I would say start with your database, because if it's shit now and you start filling it with more shit, it's gonna just be shit, right? So I'm telling you, I learned this lesson the hard way. I learned it the hard way, okay? So start with your number one source of lead generation. Sherry, direct mail. I know you're big on direct mail, right? And I would just try to really look at, okay, my direct mail, is my call to action clear enough? Like, would you generate more leads if you had a QR code and it said, get an instant offer on your home by just taking a picture of this, right? Like, look at all of your things. Like, who is creating that mail piece for you? Can I save time by leveraging that out to someone? Or have you done it enough now where you can just repurpose all of your things versus just sending a new one every time, right? And then when a lead comes in from your mail, what happens, right? Do you have a specific auto plan or automation?
That's when it turns to shit.
That's
Okay.
it.
So when I start talking about your database, like clarifying your database, I would say number 2 on this list, that's why I was gonna go through it, is really spending some time going through your like automated plans and making them like really good, right? And take your top 3 or 4 situations or sources and write a 1 to 2 year drip plan for each one. Most of it you can use what's already there, but you can just put your let's just call it your personal touch on. Any text or email is better than no text or email. Right? My team members come to me all the time. I want to rewrite the auto plans because it says rates are at the lowest level in years. I'm like, well, they are. If you look at it, like the average interest rate is 8%. It's 6% now. It's still lower than that, right? Like any text or email is better than none. And when they text you back, say, what do you mean rates are at all-time effing low, right? Rates are at 6%. Boom, it's an opportunity to talk to that person. Right, and educate them that actually a 6% rate is lower than the national average of 8.5%, right? So are you thinking about buying a home, or are you just texting me to be an a-hole, right?
Are we gonna be best friends now?
Yeah.
Is that an egg-hole?
Yeah,
Not ankle.
yeah, that's a hot debate on our team. Like, everything has to be perfect, you know? I'm the one that just says, just send the damn message, and then, you know, you can start perfecting things when you're closer to where you want to be. And if you're at where you want to be, just start optimizing everything. I'm not saying you have to go launch something new without a plan, because that's not smart either. Right? I think if you build the core staple out, you have a CRM that's organized, and you have a philosophy of how the CRM works, and you have good automation. Automation is key, though.
I'm gonna just go back to the team and say you have to call in twice a day for the next 21 days.
Yeah, that would solve a lot of problems for everybody.
Right?
Right? That would solve everyone's problems, probably. The automation is, I feel like it's been our superpower is building out really good automation for any kind of lead source you have, right? Because that is always working for you, okay? And there's lots of resources. There's something called Happy Grasshopper. You could like buy plans from them. If you tell me what kind of plan you want, I'm willing to share a plan that I have with you, and you can just copy and paste it to what you have. Many of our plans we put on Google like Docs. People asked us for them, so we did that. So I would say everything that goes into the CRM should have some kind of plan assigned, including your database. Everyone's looking like, oh my God, how am I going to do this?
So true.
Right?
Well, I think
We
that
should stop here. This is the homework between now and next meeting. Is I would have your database clearly delineated, leads, sphere, and I mean we could have a whole frickin' hour on what is the sphere, right? Who's in that sphere, right? Because you could have past clients, you can have your raving fans that give you multiple referrals a year, right? I think the key is just delineating leads and sphere, and how do you know which one you're communicating with? Because if you clearly delineate this in your CRM, you can use the CRM to your advantage to communicate at scale and filter out the people you don't want to talk to with whatever you're doing. Does that make sense?
So can I ask a question?
Live broadcast, for example, if you want to send that to just your leads, boom, you unfilter your sphere, and in 2 minutes, you have all your leads in a CSV, and now you can send a slide broadcast in 7 minutes versus how do I achieve the slide broadcast? Yeah, what's up?
So if we're gonna go into our database and say we need to label people leads versus SOI because we don't have that done correctly right now, or maybe partway. Would you say people that maybe you haven't talked to in a long time, you've never done actual business with, would you just call them all leads? And then
I feel like that's why I made this thing. I was going to show you. I think that when you close a deal, I'm trying to remember my password.
Can't we be here till next month?
Yeah, good thing I have a spreadsheet.
You have to have a Google
Where
Doc.
is that sheet? How do I get back to the, is this it, right here? Can you guys see the screen? Yeah? I lost my screen.
It's behind you.
Behind there?
There you go.
No, it was, oh, it's right here.
Expand it.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, why I wanted to show you this is, okay, new leads come in, right? They go into the CRM. They kind of have 3 different channels they can go to. They're either a seller, a buyer, or they're in our sphere. Got it?
Yes.
A bunch of different things happen, right? They go on automation. We email them twice a month, no matter what they are, with the educational email, right? And then on buyers, we put them on a search. On sellers, we put them on a market report, okay? On sphere people, they're on both, usually, right? Or one or the other, okay? It's not complicated, automated plan based on whatever they are. They go into the email campaigns that we already sent to everybody anyways, and then we put them on a market report or a listing alert, okay? When we get into like higher level marketing, we'll talk about retargeting. Everybody in those groups will start, they go into a retargeting list for Facebook, Google Ads, whatever. So wherever they go on the internet, they're seeing my face, our listings, whatever it is, right? So they're in that bubble, sometimes a week, 24 hours, until we set an appointment, right? So we're calling them, we're emailing them, we're marketing to them, we're doing all the shit we do. But there is an event that happens from this bucket, which everyone has, no matter how they're working their database, and it's an appointment, right? You have a meeting. Whether you sign that customer and they turn into something, or they don't sign, there's something that happens, right? If they sign, boom, they're moving to customer database, like your admin team becomes involved, right? Now they're a customer. If they don't sign, they go into the bucket and all the same shit keeps happening, right? And so I would say our job as agents is really to like live here, right? We're the call team. And we're making calls to those buckets to try to find people to set appointments with, right?
Right.
Once the appointment is set and they decide, like, okay, well, we're going to do business with you, they go through all your stages, right? We write an offer, we list the house, we do the things. Every one of these boxes, you have systems set up for it, right? So you just got to work through the list in order of priority of what boxes are your most important process. That's why I start with the CRM first, right? Because nothing happens outside of it, right? And if it's shit in there, like you can't scale, right? You could run a big business with in your head, but there's no scale to it, and it's all revolving around you. Once the client works through your process and closes the sale, in my mind, they turn back into a lead, and it's just now probably 7 to 10 years before they transact again. So I plan on being in business 7 to 10 years from now, so they're a lead to me, I just communicate to them in a different way. The contact rate is substantially higher with those people than it is new leads, right? I call 100 and I talk to 40 or 50 versus calling 100 forced registration leads and talking to 7, right? So to answer your question, yes, they turn into a lead again. You just communicate to them in a different way. But if you have no way of differentiating them from your other list of all the leads in your database, you're definitely not communicating to them at all because you're afraid that you're communicating too much or wrong or the wrong message. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I texted you your birthday password if you want.
Oh, okay, great. That's why it's really important to get clear. And this was very hard for me to do. If you're a fast mover and you hate slowing down, and there is nothing more important to your business than this. I just had the benefit of working with Tom to see him screw this up at a big level. And I thought, when I have since I was forced into an opportunity to have to launch this from scratch, I had a moment of epiphany. I'm like, well, I'm not doing that, right? Meaning, we had a database of thousands of leads where we had no differentiation. We had no idea what they were. None of them were on automation. We didn't know anything about that group of people, right? But if you look at this, clearly there's 13,000 people in that database. So when I upload the viral email, it has 20 some odd thousand people on the list, right? The open rate's like 30%. So 20,000, that's like 600 people, right? So if it's 10,000, it's 30%, that'd be 300. So 600, 600 or so, okay? In our sphere, that's someone who we've met with, had an appointment with, they would know us when we call, right? It's 1,500. About 10% of the people are in our sphere. Clients that have transacted, active clients, current clients, there's 1,400, right? We call it a collaborator would be like a vendor, a co-agent, whatever the case may be, right? 121. Your database should be clean like this. So if I want to, and I'm just going to show you real-time examples so you don't think I'm full of shit. I'm gonna say, okay, well, I want to pull all of my past clients. Please, Brittany, work. Okay, we're gonna call Ben and say, dude, I was presenting your company in front of 20 people. You could have had potential customers and it didn't work. So let's say I want to pull up all my clients that closed let's just say in 2021. Because this is something that we will filter out, right? And it probably won't pull up because these are leads.
Steve, so did you make that as a tag? Is that how you know which ones were from which year?
Yes. So that's a whole nother conversation, right? Is depending on your CRM, all CRMs kind of are different. Statuses are kind of standardized at this point, right?
So your CRM that you're using is Brevity.
Mm-hmm. But they all do the same thing, right? So you just have to standardize what is your lead standard. And I would use the one that I shared with you because I think that would be the most standard. I mean, if I was faster at this, it's just hard for me to see right here. I just wanted to show you how powerful that could be. So I want to go pull every client that I did business with in 2021, because obviously those people are quite quickly becoming upside down. So I'm going to call all those people. Yeah, I mean, so what would have taken, I don't even think you could, I don't know how, you'd have to go get a report from Keller Williams, go into your MLS, find what are all the homes I sold in 2021, and go to the MLS, go to your database, one by one, pull them out. I don't know how you would achieve that without a good system, right? If anything else I suck at, this should be, the database is the key. I'm anal about it, right? Because how powerful is it to go pull everyone that we closed in 2021, and I can literally load them up and call them and say, hey, just want to check in. It's been almost 2 years since you bought your house. How's it going? Oh, I'm so worried because I paid $100 million over. And, it's great. You want to talk about selling your home, right?
Do you want to talk about me helping you get a
You can
tax
do this in
reduction?
any kind of way that you want. Tags is probably the best way to do it. And so, the point I'm trying to make here is everyone in your database, you should have a clear strategy around them. And if you don't, that's your number one strategy today, right? Because if your goal, you have aspirations to grow a team or you want administrative support staff, without that, you won't be able to teach somebody or be able to quickly facilitate things, right? And I look at it like this. If we leverage technology in our businesses, we can keep them smaller and more profitable by leveraging technology from a communication standpoint and a database standpoint, and then all kinds of standpoints. Marketing, there's marketing technology, but this is the sales business, right? Mastering your CRM is your sales business, okay? I just can't, I think that especially agents who are one-to-one have a real tough time with this because we're so one-to-one. And we can get away with it at a certain level.
But then you're stuck.
You're totally stuck. Which is, I mean, you're not stuck in a bad way. Like, I think we can make multi-six figures, without all this, for sure. But then we have a bad year like this, and maybe our income gets cut in half or something happens. But we're all, I think at a certain point in your career, you're gonna get stuck and you're gonna have to figure out, you're gonna get left behind because now 5 years later from today, you're trying to figure out, how do I work a CRM, right? Because I don't know, if I told you you could grow your income by 6 figures by getting a CRM right, I think everyone in here would figure out a way to force themselves to sit down and create the standards. Because I truly believe if you're not running your CRM super clean, you're missing out on 6 figures, big time. And not just for leads, but for your database, okay? That's the homework.
Awesome.
I'll send the slides to you guys for sure.
Can you send the recording too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's gonna have to come in a link, I think.
This is being recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I don't know that you have my correct email because I never get any of your emails.
Really?
So maybe
I sent
one
it
of
to your
my-
KW email.
I don't have
No?
a KW email.
Did you get one?
I don't have a KW email. Yeah.
I don't use KW.
I'll make sure that we have the right emails.
Yes, I don't say that either.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't send it out yet. I will send it out.
I don't have a KW
You
email.
need our emails, yeah.
Yeah, if you can respond back to the Zoom link.
I didn't get it.
I didn't get it.
Well, give it to Lauren.
Okay.
Lauren will get it from you right
I
there.
had to ask office meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I hope next time I don't have to talk
Yeah,
about it.
I had to do that, so they don't, anybody that wants to come.
Alright.
We did it for
Finish
whatever
work
reason.
today.
Mother, I gotta tell you. What's that? Thank you, Steve.
This week was discouraging, last 2 weeks were great. So I was like, this is stupid, like, kind of like reverting back to my old self. This was encouraging, this was like, last No, it's for me.
I have it figured out. It's like right here. So it's still going.
So now it's like, let's just apply that.
I was like,
And then